I'm glad you all came back to kick it into sticks, everyone.
All right, so right now we're laying down our sill plate. We have our studs already anchored into the concrete, and we are going to transfer punch.
There. Oh, you're gonna don't want to drive a hole in there. Okay.
Okay. Now we've transfer punched and drilled all of our holes into our treated sill plate. We're laying down sill sealer, and then we'll flip our sill plate over to attach it down to the studs in our concrete.
Some people wanted to know why I never mentioned anything about the studs we sunk in the concrete while it was freshly poured. I was for it at the time because I thought that it would be just one less thing to worry about later. However, after trying to float the concrete with the studs in the way, I was less than enthused. And unless you're someone who's used to working with concrete, I would not bother. To make this method even a little less desired, some of the studs ended up at angles, causing the treated sill plate to hang over the footing. In the process of flushing up the north side of the sill plate, a fair amount of force was applied through hammering, which I believe weakened the bolt. As I was drawing up the nut and washer, I felt a distinguished pop, leading me to believe that the particular stud snapped as the sill also popped up in that spot.
All right, try this one more. Ooh.
That particular bolt was the only one that really gave us any problems. Everything else was really nice, but honestly, installing anchors after the concrete is poured is an option that works just as well. Simply drill holes into your sill plate where you would like it to be anchored, then you line your sill plate up on your footing where you want it to be fastened, and you use those drilled holes in your sill plate as a guide for a mason bit drill and a hammer drill to drill into your concrete slab or footing. There are special expanding anchor bolts that tighten up in the concrete as you draw the nut and washer up tight to your sill plate. We have used this anchoring method in the past on other projects with pre-existing concrete slabs, and it works all the same.
I think the bolt snapped off. I think from hammering it over and trying to bend it straight, it snapped the bolt off.
I don't care if it's all on the deep side either.
Now, to give you a little stud anatomy, a wall has a top plate and a bottom plate. The studs that run the full length between the bottom and top plates are referred to as king studs. Studs that are not full length but used to support the ends of a header are known as jack studs or trimmer studs. An even shorter stud that is used under windowsill plates is referred to as a cripple stud. Cripple studs can also be found above the headers sometimes, depending on how a wall is constructed.
We're putting a solid wall up because this is the north wall that doesn't receive any sunlight anyways. So we're going to keep this wall insulated and not put any windows in it to retain as much heat as possible. Plus we'd be looking at the backside of the garage over here. So there's really no point.
Two together for each end.
Right, at an L though. They don't go together stacked side by side. One goes like that. The inside one goes like that.
Ready?
We flush enough on the end?
Okay, perfect. Ready?
Yep. Triple stud corner. Yeah, hit it. Okay, good. Hit the bottom. Come on. Nail it. Perfect. Yeah. One stud wall put together. Crap. Okay. So we have our first wall up. Everything is square. Everything is level. And we have it staked down to the ground for support right now until we're done with the east and west walls. This is our next wall right here. I've got a big 2x6 header going across the top because we are building this wall for one of our windows. We picked up 6 windows from a place in Oshkosh. Really nice people. They actually had the windows listed for sale on Facebook Marketplace, and each window was $20 a piece. So we got 6 windows for 120 bucks. It's not bad, considering one of those windows is 120 inches long. That would have been about $3,000, they figure. So we saved ourselves a pile of money on that one. So that is what this south wall is being built for right now, is that 120 inch long window. It is 52.5 inches high. And right now we're just getting that header plate in. We're putting the jack studs in, and then we will put the cripple studs and the sill plate in for the window. When you're building your greenhouses, you want to build your walls to conform to your windows. So basically, you got to get your windows first, especially if you're going to do a greenhouse the way that we're doing it, where we bought our windows on Marketplace. We took what we could get, and now we're using what we have. We didn't plan on the window sizes. We got what we got, so now we're building our walls to match the windows.
Right here you can see a jack stud being installed under a header and against the king stud. I've seen a lot of weird ways for this to be done, but this is the proper way. I've seen some people install headers between 2 king studs with only the window or door to be installed as the object keeping the header supported. Another word on headers: even though it may take slightly more material, we build all of our headers as load-bearing headers, even if they are not really supporting much of a load. The finished project in the end is just built much stronger this way.
Window opening on the south side, 120 inches wide by 52 3/4 tall. Now we just have to set it up and brace it, and then try to get the west one. We're going to try to get the west wall finished here. That way we can just tie both the north and south walls together, and we'll of course leave the bracing that's over here on the north wall as well. But if we have that west wall in here to tie everything together, that'll just add a little bit more support until we can get the wall structure completely finished all the way around. So that's the next step. Upsy daisy. Sorry, let's go one more time. All right. Okay, perfect. We're back to flush again on this side. And flush to the face there.
We're building Shirley's she shed.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what we gotta name it. Shirley's she shed.
So right now we're marking our studs, 16 on center for this wall. We find the 16 mark, and then we mark back 3/4 of an inch from the 16 on center mark. The reason we do that is because if you drew a line right on 16 on center, it's pretty hard to find your line once you put your stud over the top. So you want to draw your line 3/4 of an inch back, and you draw a line straight across that board with a square, and then you mark your X to this side, so that way you know you have to put your stud here to the right of the line.
Whatever we're gonna do here.
Putting the X's on the opposite.
Yeah, your X has got to go here. There you go. No problem. It's only pencil. Right on a seam.
But this one, yeah, don't matter. This
Okay.
one's gonna get cut out anyway because of the door.
Right.
Hang on, these probably, this is gonna be a king stud, and then this is the top stud for the header for the door. This is gonna be a top stud for the header for the door, because we're talking, if we go 36 inches, hypothetically, if we're gonna go 36 inches, here's 36. This would probably be a king stud.
So all that in between will get cut out.
No, this won't be a king stud, this will be
Jack stud.
That'd be a jack stud there.
To support the header.
Stud here. Actually, if we're talking 36.
So this will all get cut out from there to that 36 inch
yeah,
mark.
Whatever, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, more than likely.
Just on the bottom, not the top.
Not the top.
We just want to make sure everyone at home knows that. And you just take your square and you transfer your line from your sill plate to your top plate. So that way your studs line up when you start nailing everything together. When you're doing that, just make sure you don't flip your boards end for end. Just flip them so that way the line marks are facing toward each other on your top plate and your sill plate. You just have to turn them on their side 90 degrees. Then you can start putting your studs in between. So we've got all 4 of our walls up. We've got this doorway right here, which we're not exactly sure what we're going to put in here yet. We're thinking about taking that door that's on that old greenhouse that we used to have right there. We're going to try to peel the aluminum framework off of that glass and then build a wood framework, because that aluminum, it just isn't going to quite work the way we want it to, and we want to build this door so it actually latches. So we're going to put our own frame around that glass. Hopefully that'll work. If it doesn't, I'll be looking on Marketplace probably for a storm door of some sort that's 36 inches wide. But for right now, we just left this opening open until we figure out exactly what we're doing for a doorway in here. We've got our other big window here for the east side. We've got our big long 120-inch window on the south, and then we've got our 2 smaller, I believe they're somewhere around a 48 inch, somewhere around in that size. So let's just go through a little bit of the construction of how we built this greenhouse. This is called a triple stud corner. So we have a starting stud that's right at the end of our wall here. And then you lay another stud in, but at 90 degrees. Now you build both of your opposing walls. This wall here and then the one opposite of it will be built the same. Then when you put your end wall in here, you'll just build that one normal and just put just a regular 2x4 stud here. But when you stand it up inside between the other walls, you have this nice little triple stud action going on here, which when you put your layers of sheeting up, whether it's drywall or OSB, and you slide your drywall in here, now you can nail your drywall to the stud that's right behind my hand, and then as you can see here to the side of my hand, you have another whole open access strip where you can fasten your next sheet of drywall right here in this corner. So you got one, you have this stud you can fasten to, and then you have the edge of this stud here that you can fasten to. When we build our headers, now I've seen several ways of headers being built. I've seen people lay their headers down like this. Don't do that. You have the most strength across the width. So we laid 2x6 headers up in here. You don't lay them flat, you lay them edgewise, and this is the strongest that they're going to be. Now, I've also seen some people, they'll put just one 2x6 in here, and it's kind of whatever. You can throw insulation behind it, I guess. You have the one on the outside here, and then this would be open. You would fill this in with insulation. I've seen people do that. We like to just build a solid header. And then because our 2x4s are 3.5 inches wide and one board on end is only 1.5 inches wide, you would only get 3 inches total. So to get that extra 1/2 inch, we like to sandwich a little piece of OSB in here, 1/2 inch. And then that will bring our header out to full width of 3.5 inches to match our top plate. So once you stand your walls up too, as you can see on the outside here, you have to brace your walls up just to keep everything lined up and steady for the time being. Once you start putting your OSB on the outside here, that really starts to stiffen things up. Once you put your rafters up over on the top, that starts to hold things together a little bit more, and then it becomes an independent building. You can take those braces off the sides and everything will be nicely structural, sturdy, and sound. And then adding the windows in there, that helps add more structural stability to the greenhouse or building that you're making, as do the doors. As you start filling in all these open gaps, that just makes the entire building more solid and rigid. So that is it for the wall construction. If you're interested in seeing how rafters are made and installing windows and doors, check that out. That should be in the next video for sure, the rafters. If not windows, that will be in another video. But until then, come back to kick it into sticks, and we'll see you in the next one.